Hi, good morning and welcome to After GMS. We are live on the News 2 Facebook page as we are every weekday morning at 7:45. Welcome. I'm Megan Malaris alongside meteorologist Ed Matthews and meteorologist Christian Morgan. So with two meteorologists, we have to start with the forecast. And your job's a little bit easier this week than it has been because you're delivering the good news.
That's right. We have good news to talk about. We're not talking about it being so crazy hot or so crazy humid. We are talking about it warming up a little more, and we are talking about it getting a little more humid over the next couple days. But nonetheless, we will have that return to that nice weather. On our way to 87 degrees this afternoon. There are no issues with the forecast today, but there is a bit of a cold front on the way, and that will work its way toward us as we go into your Wednesday. Now, what that does is not only send our humidity on an uptick a little bit, but it also gives us a chance for scattered showers and thunderstorms, mainly in the afternoon, because that front will be coming through during the peak heating of the day. So it won't be everybody getting a storm, but they will be hit or miss. So kind of keep that in your mind. And Circle Wednesday is really the day of the next 7 to watch. After that, it's pretty nice, actually a pretty nice weather pattern setting up across the triad. Once that front gets by us, we'll have that cooler, drier air starting to make a return. Low 80s on Thursday, low 80s on Friday as well with that low humidity. And check out those morning lows in the 50s for Friday and Saturday morning. Weekend is stellar. 85 on Saturday, 87 on Sunday. But you note that trend. We start to warm things back up a little bit more as we end the weekend and head into next week.
Well, let's turn to our top story of the morning. It has been nearly a week since police, deputies and troopers rushed to Mount Tabor High School in Winston-Salem. Once on scene, they found 15-year-old William Chavis Raynard Miller Jr. suffering from a gunshot wound. He went to the hospital where he died of his injuries. The sheriff's office said another student, a minor, is in custody, and this morning classes will resume for the first time since this tragedy. There is no doubt today will be difficult, but students and faculty are determined to remain Spartan strong. WFMY News' Denise McMillan talked with people in the community working to make sure the Mount Tabor community knows they are not alone.
Well, recovering from the mental stress of knowing a fellow classmate was fatally shot inside of school will take some time. But as students return to the classroom today, they will know they are supported because behind me are affirming messages of hope and unity, letting the students know that they are supported. Here's a better look at the love notes. Students spent Labor Day making signs so that when students return today, they know that they're not alone. During a much-needed break, the community has come together in more ways than one with memorials and prayer vigils in William Miller Jr.'s memory. This after the 15-year-old Mount Tabor student was shot and killed last Wednesday. The student who opened fire is in police custody, waiting to know if they'll be tried as a juvenile or an adult.
There has been such an outpouring of love and support, and I know that's what's going to get everyone through this.
I hope that people aren't scared to come to school and still see the family behind Tabor, because while it did happen at Tabor, it could happen anywhere.
The school district will continue to offer support to students who need it through counseling. In situations where parents aren't ready to send their children back, will be handled on a case-by-case basis. And the school district superintendent says they plan to work with community partners to better prevent school shootings from happening.
Well, as Mount Tabor students and teachers prepare for the return to classes this morning, they are holding on to that phrase we have heard time and again in this last 6 days, Spartan strong. Let's hear from a student about what that means.
It means family and community and staying strong in hard times and being there for one another.
Yes, it does. And throughout the morning, we have asked you to share your words of support for the Mount Tabor community. Olivia said sending prayers their way. We as a community stand with them in all of Winston-Salem Forsyth County schools. Kevin says, I love our students, most resilient kids I've ever seen. Hashtag Spartan Strong. SL Russell said to the Millers and all students and staff at Mount Tabor, our prayers go out to each and every one of you. Well, let's keep the encouragement going this morning. You can drop a comment here on our WFMY News 2 Facebook feed. I already saw Joanne comment with the prayer emoji, extending her thoughts and prayers to the community, the students and staff as they head back today. I mentioned this earlier on the Good Morning Show, the words that Police Chief Katrina Thompson said that were really profound when she spoke at that emotional news conference a few hours after this had happened. She said she wanted students watching to know that it's okay not to be okay. But if you are feeling not okay, you do need to talk to somebody, and there is always someone available to listen to you. You are not alone. And we are so blessed to have such great supportive resources here in our community, from trained licensed professionals to counselors at the school districts. There is no shame in asking for help.
Absolutely not. There are people, trained people, and just a good friend. But there are many trained people that you can talk to and just kind of get your feelings out of your system and kind of put them on the table. I think it'll make you feel better. It'll help you to understand what the school has gone through in the past couple of weeks. It's very, very important. Never ever leave things bottled up inside. You know, get things out, get your thoughts out, and share them with another person that can lend some incredible and very important support.
Yeah, and Christian, we have certainly seen that support pouring in from the community at large this week. You know, in times of tragedy, we've seen this in weather events. We've seen this here with this. Our community really rallies together. Groups of strangers. I mean, we saw this shortly after this happened. Even while this was all ongoing, all unfolding, we saw a prayer group forming in the neighborhood. There were the police barricades all around, and nobody knew what was going on at that point, but we still, at that point, we saw people supporting each other, and that is so profound.
Yeah, always, and it really makes you proud to, you know, to be from here and to live where we live, because like you said, we always come together, and the Triad always shows up to help folks in need, no matter what the circumstance is. And you know, we talk about these students going back to school today. You know, not only is this a big day for students, but also for teachers and also the parents of these children who are going back to school today. And going back to school and kind of getting back in that routine of being back in the classroom is not an easy task, especially, you know, on a normal scale. But of course, now you're coming off of a really interesting year with all the COVID protocols, and we're getting back in the classroom. So that in itself is not easy. And then you factor this into it and what these students and what this whole school community has gone through over the last week. Today is not an easy day. And the days and the weeks and the months that will follow, you know, will not be easy as well. So of course, our prayers are with all of these students and all these teachers and all of these parents and everybody involved at this school at Mount Tabor. So our prayers are with you, and we're praying for a safe return and a healthy and happy rest of the year.
And I do want to address this. There's some speculation here on our Facebook pages about some of the unanswered questions. We are continuing to ask these questions of the district attorney and the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office about the suspect involved, about the motive behind this, which no one can fathom why anyone would do something like this. But so far, those details are not available to us. The sheriff has said that this suspect is a minor. The case is likely making its way through juvenile court, and if it stays that way, we could get very little information. So I just want to put that out there. We are not ignoring the questions that you have. We are working to get those answers. But for now, today especially, the priority is on these students and staff as they come together to try to get through this day. And they will need all of our support, Ed.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I said earlier on the Good Morning Show, just remember Spartan Strong. Just remember that in your head. Say it out loud. Say it to another friend when you're feeling down, when you have those moments when you're feeling even more down today, because the students and the faculty are strong at this school, and that's going to help you to get through the situation.
Carol just wrote in on our feed saying prayers for the school and the community. We know they are certainly feeling those today. We've seen the signs, the beautiful signs that were made that are hanging up now at Mount Tabor High School. We will continue our coverage on this as the day progresses. We do have some headlines to get to this morning, and we will get to our second conversation coming up. Greensboro police are looking for a person they say assaulted a store clerk and robbed a store early this morning. This happened around 1 o'clock at the Pop Shop on Summit Avenue. Police say the man took an undisclosed amount of cash before leaving the store. The suspect was wearing a gray hooded sweatshirt and black jeans. Anyone with information should call Crime Stoppers. Well, this morning's robbery came as Greensboro police were already working to find suspects in two separate incidents of gun violence over the weekend. One of them happened last night on Pasadena Street. One person went to a hospital. The other shooting happened last night on Sales Way. Victims from both shootings went to the hospital. A busy stretch of I-40 in Greensboro is back open after a fiery crash shut down eastbound lanes for hours last night. This is video from a viewer who was on the highway and saw this. Police say, sadly, a driver is dead after veering off the highway near Sandy Ridge Road by the farmers market exit. Police have not released the circumstances of the crash or the identity of the person who died. The lanes reopened just before 3 o'clock this morning. The family who lost 5 loved ones in a tubing accident this summer is suing Duke Energy. The Viano family said they went tubing down the Dan River and accidentally went over the Duke Energy dam. The company, after that, put up larger signs, but the Viano family said the company needs to do more. Duke Energy plans to respond to the lawsuit in detail in a future legal filing. We will stay on top of this story and bring you updates as we get them. The Burlington Fire Station is looking at $15,000 in damage after investigators say someone crashed a car into the building. This happened yesterday afternoon. Police say a driver lost control while making a turn on Wilkins Street. The car hit the fence, the station's heating and AC unit, and then slammed into the wall. No one inside the station was hurt. Everyone inside the car, including a dog, had minor injuries. The Burlington Fire Department says the station will remain operational. Well, let's get to our next conversation this morning. You need to be careful if you're heading to the Carolina coast this week. The National Weather Service says Hurricane Larry brought dangerous swimming conditions to our coast this weekend. Lifeguards rescued at least 30 people caught in the currents, and they warn there could be more on the way later this week. So let's bring our meteorologist into this conversation. Ed, what kind of a timeline are we expecting, and why are these currents so dangerous even though this storm has stayed offshore?
Well, the Larry is expected to pass well east of the island of Bermuda as we head through the rest of the week and then on up to the northeast over the weekend. And even though I'm estimating that the storm, we're about 600 miles to the west of Bermuda, you add a couple of hundred miles to that, this storm is easily 800 miles from the east coast. But yeah, it's a category 3 storm, weakening maybe a little bit to a category 2 storm, but it is really putting motion in the ocean. If you were out in the middle of this storm, you'd easily have 30-foot waves. So the ocean is churning and you get those swells hundreds of miles away, i.e. the east coast, and that produces the dangerous rip currents.
Yeah, and Christian, we've seen this time and again with these storms. You warned of them with Ida as well. These are recurring and a real threat to our coast. I mean, 30 people rescued over the busy Labor Day weekend. That's incredible. It
really is, you know, and it's easy to say, well, okay, the storm is several hundred miles away from us. No, it's not going to really impact the Carolinas, but it is going to really churn up those waters and really create those dangerous rip currents. And this is, you know, we're not talking about just at the North Carolina beaches. This is all the way, you know, from the Grand Strand down to Myrtle Beach, up to Wrightsville Beach, and even up to the Crystal Coast of Emerald Isle. And once you get up into the Outer Banks, you also have to think about the fact that the Outer Banks, of course, jut out just because of their nature. They jut out in the ocean a little further than all the other beaches. So the rip currents are even going to be a higher risk there. Actually, if you take a look at this graphic that we have here, today, in fact, there's that medium rip current risk along some of our popular beaches. Then you go up until along the Outer Banks and they have that code red, that high rip current risk there as well. And this will continue not only for the course of this week, but also into the upcoming weekend before that kind of subsides a bit, because Larry is a huge storm. Right now it's a category 3 storm, and the eye, we were talking about this earlier, the eye yesterday was 75 miles wide, which is huge. You know, typically the eye of a hurricane isn't that big. Now this morning it's a little smaller, but still on the order of 40 to 50 miles wide. And when a eye is that big, it's bigger than it normally is on a hurricane. We call that an annular hurricane. So Larry is a strong, powerful annular hurricane, and the wind field extends so far out from the center of this storm. So of course you factor that in, and that's what churns up all the waters and pushes all the water, of course, along the coast. So you're going to have this rip current risk for the next week. So if you're going to the beaches, just play it safe, stay on land, stay on the sand, and I think you'll be fine. Just keep that in mind. And of course, as you go to the beaches, there are some places who don't have lifeguards anymore because they wrap those up after the Labor Day holiday. So If you are at a beach that does have lifeguards, remember they'll have those flags posted letting you know the rip current risk and kind of a general reminder. But if you're going somewhere where the lifeguards have already packed up and gone for the season, you'll need to, again, keep this in your mind because they won't be there to put those flags up and put those warnings up for you. So again, just best to play it safe this week.
Yeah, the dangerous part about rip currents is that when people try to get out of them, if they try to swim directly against them, it takes so much energy and they get tired. And unfortunately, that is when we see these drownings happen or other people getting caught in these situations when they try to rescue somebody else. So the experts have said, if you find yourself caught in these situations, try to resist the urge not to panic. Let it take you out until you get out of that current and then swim parallel to shore before you try to head back onto the sand. So really important to know what to do in these situations, because when you're panicking, sometimes your logic goes out the window. You're just trying to stay afloat. Ed, we have a long ways to go with hurricane season still.
Oh yes, indeed. It can be very active. Obviously, we're kind of peaking out. If you look at the climatology of hurricanes, that being the 10th, and then supposedly the activity gradually decreases, but that's not necessarily true. We can certainly have some major category 3 or even 4 or 5 hurricanes in the month of October. A point I want to make about the rip currents, I lived in Wilmington in the mid-'80s. And if I wasn't at work, I was at Wrightsville Beach because I knew I wasn't going to live there forever, that Wilmington was just a stepping stone in my career. I got caught in a rip current. And I'll tell you what, gang, it is no fun. I remained calm. I knew what to do. It wasn't a very strong rip current, but I was able to safely get out of it. But in my heart, my mind, I was scared to death, didn't panic, got out of it. The deceiving thing with Larry, hundreds of miles offshore, it could be a bright sunny day like today and dangerous rip currents out in the water. So just because the weather is quiet and nice, it can be a totally different story in the ocean.
Yeah, Christian, this weather is bringing us some nice, less humid air. So that is a perk of some of these systems that are staying offshore.
Yeah, absolutely. It really is, and we do have this cold front on the way, and that actually kind of helps to push Larry even further out to sea and help to steer it. There's always so many factors that go into steering a storm and knowing the track of where the storm is going to go. But we have these series. We had a cold front that moved by yesterday. We've got another one on the way tomorrow, and all of these things passing by and these upper level lows swinging through actually kind of help to continue to steer Larry off to the northeast and carry it away from us. So Larry is going to soon be forgotten once it's out of here, not even really impacting the island of Bermuda too bad because it's going to stay to its east. So of course, while we do have to deal with the humidity increase and a little bit of warmer weather and the storm chance tomorrow, all of that works together, right, to actually bring us back to some really nice weather by the end of the week and help keep Larry well away from us.
Yeah, Ed, Joanne said she took a wonderful drive around Forsyth County with her daughter after live streaming church and lunch. Sounds like a beautiful day for a drive again today.
Definitely so. And I tell you what, as we move through the month of September, and of course even more so as we move into October, we're starting to see these fronts move in from the northwest. That's a good thing, and really it's pretty normal that we see these fronts moving through. So maybe Mother Nature's going to behave and be pretty normal for September and on into October as we move into fall. You get these fronts moving in and just brings that refreshing, cooler, drier air. Now today it's going to be fairly dry, lower humidities and upper 80s, but the humidity starts to increase a little bit tonight and tomorrow out ahead of one of those cold fronts that will bring a few showers and storms tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening. But behind that front, it's going to feel a lot more like autumn. Cooler, drier. We're looking at low 80s on Thursday and Friday. And look at Friday and Saturday morning, as morning lows are going to be dropping into the mid and upper 50s, a very similar pattern to what we enjoyed last week. And I say, Mother Nature, keep bringing those fronts. Not only do they help to keep the tropical systems away, but they bring refreshing, clean Canadian air to our area.
I had some family visiting from Texas this weekend, and they were so pleased by our weather, and they asked, is it this beautiful in North Carolina all the time? And I said, well, not all the time, but you know, I'm glad we could give you this treat while you're here.
I'm glad they weren't here 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Oh,
Yes.
Lord. Yeah.
Exactly. Hey, thanks so much for spending part of your day with us here on After GMS. We do this show every weekday at 7:45 on the News 2 Facebook page. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Get out there and get to it.
See you.